Now, the first of our series of interviews with the 7 candidates who hope to fill Boris Johnson's shoes as London Mayor, one of them being Boris Johnson himself.
Funnily enough.
In a moment, I'll be speaking to the Green Party candidate for the job. She's called Jenny Jones. She's hoping to make a breakthrough in London with policies including increasing the congestion charge, we'll test her on that, and eventually replacing it with a pay-as-you-drive road toll scheme. I think that may involve satellites in the sky. She'd also like to see a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit across much of the capital, and she wants to close London City Airport to cut pollution. But her manifesto goes beyond natural green issues and includes pledges to try to introduce a higher minimum wage for London and to create 150,000 apprentices. The party supports weekly bin collections, but would like to see London sending nothing to landfill by 2030. When we'll all probably be gone. The Greens have made some notable advances in recent years, including their first MP, and Ms Jones has set her sights on overtaking the Lib Dems to come third on May the 3rd. Third on May the 3rd. That's the aspiration. Jenny Jones, you share a problem, though, with the Lib Dems. That both you and the Lib Dems have now been overtaken by UKIP in the polls. What's gone wrong?
Well, I think you're talking about one particular poll, and I think it's quite dangerous to predict anything from one poll. 2 weeks before Caroline Lucas was elected in Brighton, there was a poll that said she was going to come fourth. So polls can be wrong because she went on.
Most of us expected her to win.
Sorry?
Most of us expected her to win.
Yes, of course, but the poll said not. The poll said fourth.
2%.
Well, according to that, you're talking again about the same poll, but
well, what's your best poll recently?
Previous polls have put us on 4%, the Lib Dems on 6%. We think we can do a lot better than that. But Green votes tend to come out late. I've no idea why. They just don't register.
Not this spring. It's been an early spring. They've come out pretty early. And you've made it clear you want Green voters to give their second preferences to Ken Livingstone. I mean, if that's the case, why wouldn't, if you feel like that, why wouldn't you just, because Ken's got a fight on his hands, so to make sure he wins that fight, why wouldn't you just give Ken your first vote?
Because we don't think he's the best candidate. We think the best candidate is a Green who can actually take London forward in a truly sustainable way.
You were his former deputy, weren't you? I mean, he's described your endorsement quote as a key building block to his victory.
Well, I hope so, but what we're saying is...
And you know it's either him or Boris, it's not you.
Well, miracles happen, don't they?
Well, but, when? I've never seen one.
I'd like to challenge you to read our manifesto if you haven't already, because we've got a fantastic manifesto. I've even written your name in it. I'd like you to read that.
Well, you signed it for me.
I have.
Good, because you...
I'm so sorry, I didn't know you were here.
No, but I'm doing the London debate with Jenny Jones on Sunday, so I'll need that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I mean, why are you so enthusiastic about Ken? I mean, we've had all this row about his tax returns after talking about rich bastards. I'm not going to say that word until I think I just did. Anyway, and he's always moaning about the privatisation of the NHS, and we discovered this morning that he uses private healthcare. Why are you so keen on making sure this guy wins?
I'm not going to justify Ken Livingstone.
You're telling people to vote for him.
No, I'm not telling anybody. I'm suggesting that if people want the Greens to make the biggest possible impact, there's 3 ways you can do it. You can vote for me for mayor, because that sends out a signal to everybody, just about the amount of support we've got. You can vote for assembly members. Having a strong Green pack of assembly members is a very good way. And one way that we can come through is to have Ken Livingstone as mayor, because we can work with him. We can't work with Boris.
What about the Lib Dems?
Couple of quick policy questions. Would you put up the congestion charge?
Definitely. We've got to pay somehow for our
But it's already £10 a day.
I know, it's scandalous. It's so elastic. Far too many people are paying it. The whole point about it...
So how much would you put it up?
We would put up the standard congestion charge for £15.
£15
and for
a day.
gas guzzlers, people who are polluting our environment, who are actually causing a lot of community disruption, crashes, we would actually make it £40.
£40 a day?
Now listen, even Boris Johnson
Would government ministers have to pay that too?
Well, hopefully, but obviously they'd be on their bikes, wouldn't they? They'd be walking and cycling.
Nope.
Even Boris Johnson has said that our transport plans have an intellectual honesty. I don't think he's...
I think that's Boris's idea of irony.
No, he said it.
You want a window. You want that every new London home should have space to grow food, with a garden, large balcony, roof garden. Would a window box do?
Well, it probably would if it were big enough. I mean, the thing is that people actually find
Let me just interrupt you just to say, because we're just joined by our viewers in Scotland now who have been watching First Minister's Questions live from Holyrood. You're now with us live from London. We're interviewing the Green Party mayoral candidate for the London mayoral election here on May the 3rd. You were just explaining, we're running out of time, but you were explaining how that you would be satisfied if we all had a window box.
I think there's a deep need in lots and lots of people to actually grow things and have flowers.
Is that what allotments
and
are
plants.
for?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I was saying about City Airport. We should close City Airport and do something useful with it.
Let
Make
me
it
just
into
ask you
allotments, housing.
I mean, closing City Airport, that's not going to happen.
Why isn't it?
Because it's become a key link for the City of London for short-haul flights to Amsterdam and Copenhagen and Stockholm. And
people, we should actually start to understand that short-haul flights like that have got to be overtaken by rail travel.
How else are you going to get to Copenhagen?
In other parts of Europe, they're not expanding their aviation. They're actually expanding their intake from around their railways.
That's because Charles de Gaulle's already built 6 runways. Amsterdam's built 5 runways. They've done their expansion already.
You have to understand, though, we live in a finite amount of resources, and if you have growth in one area, you have recession in another area. We are very greedy. We take up more than our share of the Earth's resources.
Final question.
We have to learn how to adapt and survive.
I would think it's tough, which is why some people think, not only, of course, you're unlikely to win, but you could lose your seats in the GLA as well, in the Assembly. It's tough in this economic climate campaigning on green issues, isn't it?
I think that's because we aren't being good enough about putting over our policies. If I can just have time to tell you about one policy.
Just briefly.
Insulating homes. If we do 1 million homes in the next 4 years, it means that we lower people's energy bills, which is good for them. We reduce the carbon emissions, which is good for the planet. And we actually reduce the need for energy companies to invest in more energy, infrastructure.
That's why we have the Green Deal.
Yes, if only it went far enough, and if only it's not going to get sabotaged.
It won't be.
The thing is, you can have a win-win-win situation on environment and economy.
Jenny Jones, thank you for that. I'll see you on Sunday.